Hey, all right now. Oh, forgot my earpiece. Make sure I can hear myself talk. There we go. I only like the one in the ear. I don't like two ears. All right. Got a new package in today from Kazuki. Only know one man named Kazuki. He's my friend over at Geecrack. Before I open that, I'm going to wait a minute. Oh, we got one person in there. Hey, what's up, man? Doing an unboxing. Got a gift package from the Geecrack guys today. So I figured we'd open that and see what's going on. Welcome aboard, everyone. You click got it on here, so that goes away. Midwest, what's up, my friend? Got a little care package in today from my friends over at Geecrack. So I wanted to open that up and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about tonight. But I'm just going to hang out for a second. What's good in the Midwest? Nothing much is going on in Florida today. Hey, man. What's up, Rich? Yeah, I hear that, man. Those guys are cool. I guess I should put that down. You guys probably already know because you've been following a long time. But, man, this week has been awesome. Hey, 5 folks. Well, welcome aboard, everyone. I'm doing an unboxing. I got a care package in from the Geecrack boys today. And we're just about to talk about how I established that relationship and how that's been going. It's been 53 degrees up in Chicago way, according to Midwest. That is unseasonably warm for up there. That's like summertime. I got cold up there once. It was brutal. Actually, the guy that bought my business was from out of Waukegan. He came down. I think he just bought me out basically because he wanted a tax write-off to go visit his daughter at Auburn. But he came right on time for me, man. I was kind of burning at the end of my rope. What's up, Tattoo Destroyer, man? Was that you that hit me up? Saw my truck in Ocala? Yeah, dude. I live up by Rodman, right on the edge of the Ocala National Forest now. I used to live in Georgia my whole life, but I moved down to Florida for the fishing and just a little change of pace, scenery. And I like it a lot, man. Florida's cool. Yeah, I'm not real familiar with the road names yet, man. I've been in and out of here a pretty good bit. It's just right outside. My address is Fort McCoy. And I'm kind of in between Fort McCoy and Palaca over here in the forest. But it's cool, man. I enjoy it. I like fishing. Rodman's a tough place to fish, though, man. Rodman is a humbling place. Done pretty good out there. Yeah, Tattoo, it is nice out here, man. I really like it. I ride my bike through the forest, get some exercise, check out the bear and the deer. And there's a firing range out here. I don't have to look that up. I don't know where that one is. That's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of hunters out here, a lot of ATV riders out here. The trails go all through the forest for just miles and miles and miles. 7 folks, welcome aboard, everyone. I got a package in, and I got sidetracked talking to Tattoo. Philip, good to see you, my friend. Glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. So I keep getting sidetracked with the chat. So back in 2020, I looked it up on Instagram. I think Instagram, yeah. And, just in doing this stuff, just social media wise, you just spend a lot more time on the phone or the tablet or whatever it is you're on and than I normally used to. And it got me looking at, all kinds of different baits, just watching people's videos and, just watching the content that was out there. so I could, maybe improve on mine or whatever. And I came across that 5.8 bellows gill, and actually the the post that I saw the bellows gill on was kind of dogging it, calling it a gimmick, and kind of making like, "Can you believe this thing, man?" Blah blah blah. Just kind of dragging it, just giving them trouble. But it didn't strike me as that kind of a bait, really. It didn't look like a gimmick bait to me. I thought it looked really smart. And my first initial reaction to the bellows gill was that will either work pretty good or it won't work at all. And so I ordered it from Japan. I went on, found their Geecrack, found their name, and I put it in order because they really weren't in the States yet. So I took it to my local lake when I was living back in Georgia. It was about a 250 acre public watershed type lake for the drinking water reservoir for this town that I lived in. And I think I put it on a Tokyo rig, about like a half ounce weight, I think, on a Tokyo rig, and put that big 5.8 bellows gill on there. And I took it to the spot that I, have caught some nice fish before. It was a big lake, main lake point out there. And had some rocks out on it and stuff like that. And I think maybe the third cast, I picked up one almost 8 pounds. And it just jumped all over it. I mean, it really triggered a bite, a strike that was unfamiliar with. But what I mean by that is I threw the bait up onto the point and worked it off. Just gave it. Actually, what I did is I threw it up onto the point, and I could tell by the way that it sank, because it was a pretty drastic point. So when it sinks real quick, and then like stops, you're in that shallow spot. But if you miss it because it takes it a few more seconds to get to the bottom right there. So I knew I put it up on that 2.5 foot ledge that was right there, because it stopped sinking so fast. And I just gave it some tip, just rod tipped it up, yo-yoed it up a little bit and let it fall. And that fish grabbed it and just, was almost like a saltwater fish. It was running with it so fast. And I've been beat by the fish when they get triggered like that a few times. I've had some really nice fish that get off because they swim at me real fast. And you guys know how that works, man. It's terrible. I've had several really, really big fish on the 5.8 bellows gill. Actually, you know what? That first fish I caught, is in my highlights on Instagram. It's maybe the second or third one over. I think it was 7 3/4 or something like that. But like I said, man, it was not a gimmick to me. And it didn't seem like a gimmick when I looked at it. And then within 30 minutes of fishing with it, I had a nice bass with it. And I can say too, and you guys have followed for a while, have seen me catch some nice fish on that 5.8 bellows gill. That real triggered bite is common. It's such a big bait. It's like as big as your hand almost, a big chunk of plastic shaped like a bluegill. And I don't put big numbers up with it. I'm not going out and catching 10 fish a day on it or anything like that. Now, my understanding is the smaller ones, you go down to like the 3.5 or the 2. Those work real well on the smallmouth up north. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but over the years of messing with these guys. Hey, what's up, fellas? What's up, Philip? What's up, Frank? Check my thing. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, y'all are talking amongst yourselves. That's cool. So anyway, in the years of messing with it, I've just noticed that big triggered bite in a way that I've never really seen bass come unglued on something. I've been bass fishing a long time. They'll grab it and they'll head to deep water. So the advice that I can give you, if you decide to try any of these baits, I don't even know what's in the box. What's in the box? They know me though. We've been working together. I caught so many nice fish. Those dudes started sending me this stuff. I did a lure review on the 5.8 bellows gill that I've been running on about. It's back in the feed in YouTube. It's gotten over 10,000 views and 400 watch hours. It's been a real popular one. So not only have I caught real nice fish on it, but I've got real nice engagement and a real nice viewer count on it. That's all working towards getting paid, which is awesome. So anyway, that is the Geecrack story for the new guys who haven't heard it yet. And for you guys who have heard it, thanks for your patience. So without waiting anymore, let's see what Kazuki sent in this care package. These guys are cool, man. Let's see. Slide that out of the way. Slide this down a little bit more so we can kind of see a little bit better. Get some more light in here. All right. So, it's in a 5.8 bellows gill wrapper, but that's not a 5.8 bellows gill. Let's see what this is. Oh, sweet. Oh yeah, man. The shad with the paddle tail. Have you guys tried that one yet? I've caught some smaller fish on that one. I haven't had any real big bites on that, but it's nice. It's got these little pockets in there. Let's see if I can see it. So the hook, I use a belly weighted hook in there, and it's got a little slit in there for the belly weight, and it's also got some slits in the top. You see that? So the hook can sit inside in those bellows and be hidden and recessed in there real nice. That'd probably make it nice and weedless. I've caught a few Florida fish on that, but this is going to be a good color for down here. They seem to like the darker colors. Yeah, I think you're right, man. I'm reading Philip's comment here. He says, a pro fisherman who shall remain nameless used one of your rigging methods for that bellows on his own video. Yeah, I saw that unnamed dude, as a matter of fact, Philip. I sure did. You know how that goes, man. Hey, that just tells me that how much those guys are, they're stressed. They're so scared because, I mean, I don't have any problems with content forever. Okay, we're coming into year 3 of Sugar Hill Outdoors, and you got to dance with the one that brought you. We stocked it for anybody who's new. We stocked Sugar Hill Outdoors new, and we've been tracking bass growth, and we've also got a little genetic study going on in there comparing northern bass to Florida bass in the same pond. I've never seen anybody do that before. Coming up on year 3, our biggest fish is 4.1 pounds in 17, 18 months after stocking. The place is absolutely destroying it. And it's a great frame of reference because I get a lot of arguments. I get a lot of guys, these armchair quarterback guys, they want to come on here and they want to, spout all their knowledge and they want to, they want to repeat the group thing, right? And the group is wrong in a lot of things in fisheries management. They just, and it's hard to get them to listen. I think I've probably had about 800 comments on YouTube in the past 9 or 10 days, literally 800. I'm not making that number up. And I would say probably about 50% of them are pretty condescending and negative, So what I do is I don't take that personally. I used to, you kind of tick you off, but there's no point in letting other people kind of knock you off your frame, And I answer all the questions like they weren't being condescending jerks, because so many people read the chat and will probably have that same question, just not framed in a real bad tone, that I feel like that that's important. to get the message out there. And two, it shows YouTube that I'm very engaged and respond to everyone. And then generally what happens is those guys who are trying to make a negative point at me at my expense or whatever, just kind of being argumentative, they'll generally, after you respond to them, they'll make another response and it'll be longer than their first response. So that also drives the algorithm. So it's not that I don't really appreciate them and their attitudes, but at the same time, I kind of do, because they help, even though they're being jerks, kind of. And sometimes like every once in a while, like, those dudes will be cool. Like they'll kind of like wise up and figure out, hey, wait a minute, this guy's not full of it. And they'll see the pond, they'll see the results, they'll see the field work, and they won't be so like keyboard warrior-ish. And they turn into real good followers. So I try to give them an out. I try to not be not start an argument. I just try to answer the questions like it's not framed real passive aggressively, and sometimes that works out too, But I don't know. I've kind of gotten to the point now. I've been doing this for so long and using that technique for so long to drive the algorithm here and in Facebook or Instagram. It all pretty much works similar. We got a bunch of comments. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, Midwest has a good question coming through. How much will the northern strain and Florida strain hybridize, and how long do you think you can sustain two independent populations? That's a great question, Midwest. That we can just touch on that before we go into any more lures talk. We'll blend the lure talk in a second. So what you get and how ponds, this is how I've mostly stocked the ponds in my life. You stock the first generation, which is called an F1, or the first time you stock fish. Most of the fish hatcheries that you get your bass from will be selling you F1s because they grow faster than Northerns or Floridas. So for 20, 30 years, however long I've been doing this now, most of the fish that I stocked, unless I went out of my way to get some other different genetic strain, were F1 bass, which is a cross between a Florida and a Northern. And like I said, it's because they grow super fast. And I'm talking about in this same amount of time, our biggest fish in this pond has been 4.1 pounds. That's because they're not F1s. I've grown them to 5.2 in this amount of time when they were F1s. But the problem with that is then the subsequent reproduction after the F1s, they revert back to just like their normal growth rates of either, I guess, if they're more kind of northern dominant or Florida dominant or whatever, but they go back to normal growth rates, and which is kind of along the lines of what we're seeing here. Like our Floridas are 2.22 pounds to 2.3 pounds, I think, is the biggest Florida bass that we've caught, and the Northerns are all pound heavier. They're much more aggressive fish. So there's a lot of misconceptions in the genetics, and a lot of things that I've observed over the 25, 30 years of doing this are becoming very clear, because now I can measure these results and I can go, all right, that is definitely a Florida because we know it's tagged, and the Northern, we know it's tagged. And we can compare and contrast. And, what I've learned is what I've kind of already knew, but I couldn't prove it. And now I can kind of prove it. I mean, this isn't technically proof. We would need to do this a bunch more times, but considering I have done this a bunch more times and seen results in the past, I just don't have it written down on paper or on a video to show you guys. I can conclude that, yes, Florida fish do get big, but they are harder to catch, and they don't get big everywhere. You have to be very wary of where you stock Florida fish. They like warm waters. They like warm climates. They don't like quick weather changes. They're very sensitive to the environment. Generally speaking, when you stock a whole pond full of Florida fish, your catch rates plummet because they're harder to catch. Just a simple way to put it. Northern bass, some of these northern bass have been caught 8-10 times. They just keep biting everything. I mean, they're so aggressive, they can't stand it. So to finish off Midwest question, we want those Florida fish and northern fish to breed with each other. So we're naturally breeding in those F1 hybrids, which it's not a true hybrid. It's just slang term that you'll hear in the media. So I use the same term, F1 hybrid. We want those fish crossing up like that Midwest, so we can get those F1s born in, and we don't. And then our second generation of bass will grow faster than this first generation of bass that we stocked. And that's where it brings me back to, we were talking about a pro fisherman who takes ideas and doesn't give credit or whatever. I've seen a lot of that, and that's okay. I don't care. Because I don't hunt in the realm of these guys pay me, so I have to sell a bunch of lures. These dudes give me lures because I talk about them scientifically and I catch nice fish on them. And this whole show, this whole thing I got going, they wouldn't be sending me gift packages if I wasn't selling baits, and that's the bottom line right there. Okay. I don't even have to go catch a big fish. I've got so many good videos and so much proof and so much confidence in these baits that I don't even really have to fish with them. Not that I'm gonna go fish with them, but, and that brings, let's go back to the tackle pack on that one. Have you guys seen these? I'll use this one's black, but I'll use the white ones. Try to get it. Let me try to get it. It's called the Nico hack. And so what that T does is you put it on one side of that bellows. Here, we'll just take one out and do it. Let's see what else we got first. Hey. Not bad. Let's swap it out. I'll leave the sticker on there like the kids do. I got to get some curve in that bill, though. I can't rock it like that. That would drive me nuts. Nah, I can't do the sticker either. It's got to go. And I can't stand the light in my eyes, so I keep my hat real low so you can't see my eyes. Sorry about that, but new Geecrack hat. How you like that? Sporty. All right. So what else we got in here? Oh, nice. You guys ever fish with these? 8-inch bellows stick. I got a great story about these. It's basically just like a bellowed plastic worm, right? I'll fish that on that same owner flashy swimmer or Texas rigged with a nice big hook in there. This little hack here probably worked good on it. I haven't tried that on there yet. But the bellows stick, man, I got a good story about that. So I was fishing at Mickey's Pond, and it's like I don't know, maybe a 3 or 4 acre pond over in South Georgia. And he was fishing the bank. I threw a yak in and was kind of bank fishing and yak fishing, kind of doing both, And he had a buddy with him fishing that day as well. And it was one of those days, man, it's pond fishing, so we should be doing a little bit better than we were doing. We weren't catching anything. And let's see. There's this one spot in the corner of that pond that they both fished around a couple of times. And I stayed away from them, but it's kind of a honey hole, it's that hot spot. And they fished around it. They threw a couple different, like I said, a couple hours. They walked by it a few times and fished everything they had at it. And it didn't catch anything over there. And I just said to Mickey across the pond, I drifted over in the kayak and I said, man, I'm changing it up. Changed it to that. It was like a dark blue one, or more like a purple one. But I said, I'm oversizing, I'm not catching anything. We're not catching anything. I'm going to the big bait. Put that 8-inch bellow stick in there in a spot that those two guys had fished over for a while, and boom, immediately jumped on it, triggered that big bite, pulled a 6-pound bass out of there. It was awesome, and I think it just goes back to kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, the bigger bait, the different presentation, the way those bellows move the water and the fish can feel that on their lateral line system. How things move in the water is critically important. And that brings me back to the Nico hack. Some more bellows sticks in that green and chartreuse. That's an awesome color right there. Love those sticks. Those I got a lot of confidence in that. No doubt. No doubt. Got everything else out of here. Okay. Some more sticks. I told him I was light on the 8-inch stick, and he hooked me up. That's another great color. Okay, here we go. Some green 5.8 bellows gills. That's what we started this talk out about. That's the first lure that I saw that we were talking about a minute ago. So yeah, I don't even get them in regular packaging sometimes. Isn't that awesome? Different color, 5.8. Love it. We'll put that to work. And then, oh, yes. This is incorrect packaging as well, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, no, that's another 5.8 gill. I thought that was the big bellow shad. But they make a big, kind of, it's more of a golden shiner imitation than it is a bluegill imitation. Like that's more bluegill shaped. And the shad is long and skinny, that bellow shad. Killer bait there too. Got a lot of confidence in these guys. So what you do on this Nico hack, and is this the large? This is the large. Good. If I can get this thing to open up. Man, I can't see anything anymore, boys. I don't know if you guys follow the Pond Boys guy, Terrence. He did a video about this the other day too. Shout out to Pond Boys. He's a cool guy. And I still can't see crap. Clear cellophane's not helping. All right, I'm not going to stab these up. I like these on. I like this on the smaller bellows gills. Oops, like maybe like the 3.8 or the 2.8. But the idea is you take that gill and you put it, you stab this all the way through it. And so that T hangs in the back of it. And then there's a hole. I can't hold it so you guys can see it. There's a hole in there you can fish your, you can put your hook through. So it's more like a wacky rig where you're pulling, you put that T through there, you stick it up, put your hook through there, and you're pulling the bait, kind of this way through the water, sideways through the water. And when you take something that's so different, and then you start moving it through the water sideways, so different, that's just something they've never seen before. And that's the place I like to be. Someplace something they've never seen, an action they've never seen. That's awesome. Thanks to the Geecrack guys. Appreciate you guys a lot. Let me run back through the questions real quick. I'm sure there was a couple. There's a lot going on. Yeah, Rob says jerks can boost the account. Yeah, man. We went over 4,000 people today, so that's cool. Keep talking. Big Malone, what's up, man? All right, here's a question coming in from Southeast Georgia Kayak. When we stock and brim, how would it be beneficial to stock bluegills from the 2 to 5 inch category? Yeah, well, so now you're getting into like budget and you're getting into what you're trying to achieve. Let's see how I can put it. If you got a new pond and there's no bass in there, you don't have to stock you don't have to stock the biggest bluegill. So you'll buy them 2 to 3s because there's nothing going to eat them. You can let them grow before you stock the bass. You can feed them, get them going. So to save money, you stock mostly 2 to 3s because fish are really expensive, really expensive these days. If you're in that situation, that'll be fine. If you want to speed that process up a little bit, stock bluegill like the 4 to 6 inch category, but not many, 30 an acre, maybe 50 an acre. We usually stock them between 500 and 1,000 per acre total. It depends on what you got going there and your budget as well. I can get away with stocking 500 an acre if you give me a little time, let them spawn in, let them grow, give them a year, let them do their thing. You could do that. So if you're trying to reestablish a bluegill population and you already have bass, the best thing you can do for that is go harvest 20 pounds of bass per acre before you ever stock any bluegill. If you put bluegill in with a crowded bass population, you're just feeding bass and wasting your money. And believe me, I've seen millions and millions of dollars wasted that way. So, take that for what it's worth. Most guys don't listen. They just think you can stock fish and feed the bass and everything's good. What's really going on when you go get $5,000 worth of bluegill and you put them in today, they ain't going to be there next weekend. They're smoked, man. They get hammered. If your fish population balance is off to the point where you need to add bluegill, so to add bluegill, you have to remove predators. Okay, you get the hunting pressure off the bluegill that are left, and then that bluegill population will recover naturally. You don't have to stock it. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't stock fish ever. I'm just saying if you want to do it cheaply and you got a little bit of time, you can do it that way. So I usually will stock them that 5 inch, 4 to 5, 6 inch, a few per acre, just so I have bluegill big enough to spawn immediately and get that whole process going on a new pond. On an existing pond, you better be stocking 4 to 6 inch bluegill and praying they just survive. But I mean, you're looking, I think they're $1 a fish now, 80 cents, $1. So, you want to get 2,500 bluegill, you need $2,500. And they're gone. If you don't do it right, they're just gone. I mean, you must, if you take bluegill and put them into a bass heavy pond, you might as well light that money on fire. You're going to get as much use out of it. Just doesn't work. And like I said, I see guys do it, but they don't listen. JP's asking, what is the length? That's an 8-inch bellows stick. That is the 8. And that is the package. Bellows stick. Just flip it around so you can see it. And they have all kinds of different sizes. They have a little 2-inch stick that's head hook that thing. What do they call that? Just a drop shot hook that thing with a little circle hook. And man, that thing is deadly. You get this kind of little leech swimming action in there. That little short bellows stick is a good one. Actually, I got a good story about that. I was fishing in New York. I was actually in New York City visiting a friend a few years ago, and there's all kind of ponds in Central Park. So I thought, hey, it'd be cool to go catch a bass in Central Park. Who can say they've done that? So I went over there and went fishing. I fished all day long, didn't get a bite, threw the tackle box at them, all the usual suspects, trick worms, flukes, Texas rigs, a couple crankbaits, all of it, and didn't get a bite. And at the end of the day, one of the followers on Instagram came over, he fished with me, Billy, and I switched over to this green chartreuse bellows stick, and I think it was about that big. I can't remember the small sizes exactly. 2-inch, maybe 3-inch, whatever the small size was. They sent it to me, so drop shotted that thing on there, threw it up by a limb, caught a bass, just a little 2-pounder or something. But still, man, I was happy. Caught a fish in Central Park. All right, checking it out. Don't see any more questions. Yeah, JP, it's a big worm. I don't know if you were in here earlier, but I like the oversized plastics. they just trigger the big fish sometimes. Like it hits on an instinct, and that instinct is like the bass knows it's worth it. Like it knows it's a big meal. It can see it or sense it with its lateral line system. And I think the way maybe too those bellows displace the water must have some effect on the lateral line system, because I've just seen too many really big bass just come unglued on that bait and just roll with it. Just absolutely truck it and go. And, you know, if you think about it, that's smart, because a fish, if it's sitting there, it's expending energy to breathe, it's expending energy to live, you know, all its bodily functions, heartbeat and gills moving and everything, you know, it takes a certain amount of energy. And if the only bait that's available to the fish is small baits, it has to eat a lot of meals, right, to keep enough energy up to grow and stay alive and be healthy. It takes 10 pounds of forage for a bass to grow 1 pound. And, you know, we're getting 2 pounds growth a year on some of our bass at Sugar Hill. So you're looking at 20 pounds of bluegill those things consume. When you lay out 20 pounds of bluegill that are, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, that is a crap load of bluegill out on the table to feed one bass. To, you know, that'll give you a good frame of reference. So I think the fish instinctively know that a large meal is worth it for them to expend as much energy as possible to get it, I guess is what I'm getting at. And they don't consciously think about that. That's just an ingrained thing. But kind of like we don't have to think about our heart beating, it just beats, you know. But I think that is where these bigger bellows gills and bellows sticks and bigger bellows baits hunt around, triggering in that instinct, in that it's that primal part of their brain where, oh my God, look how big that thing is injured, and it feels different to it, because again, nothing else in the water is moving quite like that, you know. So it's got to displace the water differently. I don't know. I've had a lot of good luck. Hold my beer. You're cool, bro. It's all good. Hey, 15 of us now. Thanks, boys. So let's see. Good size worm. Yep, covered that. Let's see. Southeast Kayak we've taken 400 pounds in a 50-acre pond. It's bass heavy, and take another 200 in 2024. Okay, so we can break that down. It's pretty simple math. In 50 acres, you usually have crappie too, and work those out in the spring as much as you can. Keep. Actually, you know what I saw today online? I think it was on Facebook. There is an excerpt from the Texas Parks Game and Fish people. And in Texas, starting now and going through till February, if you catch a crappie, it's mandatory that you keep it. There's no options of releasing it. So I love that idea, especially on crappie. If you have crappie in a pond, you pretty much shot yourself in the foot. But if you harvest them hard, you might be able to salvage some halfway decent fishing out of it over a 10-year period. I don't like crappie in ponds. They've screwed most of the ones up that I've ever messed with, from a measurement standpoint, from a growth standpoint, for what's possible to what they turn it into. Crappie just trash it, and you really don't want them in your ponds. But Scent of the Little Rich is coming in with, let me finish that thought on the 50-acre pond. So he's got 50 acres of water that's got too many bass in it. 20 pounds of fish per acre times 50 acres is 1,000 pounds, 1,000 1-pound bass. And you're going to need to do that twice in a row, 2 years in a row. So that's 2,000 1-pound bass out of 50 acres. That is your goal. And all the crappie that you can destroy out of it. And that will now be enough to have bumped that place over into an area of where you've actually removed enough fish to make a difference. Because what will happen on 400 out of 50 acres is they'll replace themselves next spawn, and you can go get 400 out again and 400 out again, and they just constantly keep replacing themselves because it's really easy for a 12-inch bass to grow. So you're doing a great job by harvesting. Keep it up, but just know you need significantly more effort before you'll start seeing significant changes in the actual measurements of the fish. You're hunting in the area now of you'll pretty much keep it where it's at. You won't notice too much difference. Unfortunately, it's bad news, but sorry. Scroll it back up. Yeah, the smell on Little Rich says the scent on the Geecrack, man. I tell you what, dude, they smell like a puppy has been eating Funyuns or something. I don't know. They're weird smelling, but the bass don't really let go of them. It's kind of like power bait in that way. Poor Frank, man. He's up there frozen in the tundra. Yeah, Hook, the 4-inch the bellow stick is deadly. Got that right. The bellow stick too, and all the bellows plastics too. They are soft, and they do tear up. Like you want to use screw lock hooks with all of it. Don't try to hook it on itself. If you Texas rig it, just use a screw lock hook, and you're going to get a lot more mileage out of it because of that. That plastic is a little more delicate than most plastics. So if I had to say I had a drawback about that, I would say that would be it. It's kind of a dainty plastic. They do have a new plastic out. I saw it at ICAST this year, and I don't know if they're going to convert everything over or how that's going to work. They haven't informed me on any of that stuff, but I knew they do have a new tougher type of plastic out. So I have lost I tried wacky rigging the 8-inch stick, and they tear in half on a cast if you throw it too hard. That's a problem. If you try to hook it like a regular Texas rig worm, hook it through the head and then back out and around and in, on the first fish it'll tear that head up to where you can't use it anymore. So just go to the screw lock hooks with your bellows plastic, and that alleviates a lot of the problems. I fished the 5.8 bellows gill for a month. I literally fished it till it was just limp and coming apart in the water. I just tested out to see how long it would last. And on the screw lock, I use the screw lock on the owner's flashy swimmer usually, or a screw lock on like a beast hook, maybe like a 7/0. It's pretty good. What's up, Mike, man? Welcome in. Welcome aboard. Frank steelhead fishing. That's cool, man. I like steelhead. I've never done that. My buddy lives out in Oregon. I've been wanting to go out there and do that with him. Oh, Little Rich has a good question. Do they work in cold water or warm water? I've actually had more luck with them in the cooler water in the fall and in the early spring than I have in the summer. I don't think the water temperature matters that much, honestly. But again, I didn't even finish that idea. The suppleness of the plastic changes how it moves in the water compared to other baits. And so, yeah, there is a drawback that it can be a little fragile. But on the flip side of that coin, you're also putting a motion in the water that nothing else is putting in the water that way. And I think that's why I see such good results on especially the bigger fish. The bigger fish just are smarter. They've been around longer, and you need that little difference that makes the difference. And I don't know, maybe it's one of these things, two of these things, three of these things that make a difference. I don't know which one of these makes the difference, but if I can just, like playing poker or trading the stock market, you kind of hedge your bets, and you try to have a unique presentation. I think that's really important, more than color even, especially on ponds where the waters aren't that pressured. Colors aren't that important in ponds. Yeah, man, I'm in Florida and it's raining on me too. Hook Life comes in with a question. Is there any thought on the bite windows for winter fish, water temperatures below 40? Is there any data that the fish are more active? Yeah, unfortunately, Hook, you're not going to find really scientific data on stuff like that, unless it's newer and I haven't seen it. But I can just remember thinking, oh, there's going to be so much like bass science, and there's really not that much bass science. You're going to get more out of it just going fishing and kind of figure that stuff out on your own. But I will say this, just scientifically speaking, the evening and the morning bass, their eyes are set up a little differently where they can see a little bit better in that twilight period than the fish that are around them. And of course, they have the lateral line, super sensitive, so they know where everything is around them anyway. But I would pay, and I think that's a lake to lake thing more than it is like something you could measure scientifically. The only thing I've ever seen scientifically, like that was measured and confirmed that the bites per hour got higher, was barometric pressure changes. And generally I think it was a falling barometer where the pressure is getting lower and it's going from a high barometer to a low one. That they could mathematically prove that there were more bites per hour, and over a full moon, over all the other tide. I mean, tides don't really count, but tidally influenced fish, we know that they hunt on the tides, on the currents and stuff like that. I'm talking about lake fish on this one. But just of all the things that you hear guys talk about, the only thing that I've ever seen that was mathematically proven by science were barometric pressure changes. So, and we know that around the fronts, how it is around the fronts. But I've also had places, around the fronts that shut down, like Rodman. And then these fish like stable weather patterns. You let the weather go for a couple of days, you have a better day out there. You start getting a bunch of fronts and moving through, man, these Florida bass get all jacked up. They don't like that. Whereas I've seen the opposite of that back in Georgia, where the lake was on fire during the frontal times and kind of dead, kind of the exact opposite of what I just described. So I think just, understanding those ideas and fishing, just fishing your lake and figuring out those bite windows. I think generally though, it's usually just that first morning bite, that first thing in the morning. Nathan 79, I can't read the rest of that or the first part of that, has a question. He used a beast hook with the bellows gill. I'll use that and the bellows Nico hack. Mm-hmm. I sure have. The beast hook is a good hook. I would say with the beast or the other owner, flashy swimmer, any of the bigger hooks with the heavier, you have to really hammer the hook set. I mean, you've got to drive it, I've missed several nice fish, combination of them swimming right at me and then having that heavier hook, couldn't pin them, and they usually jump and spit it right in your face, and it's a tragedy. But be aware of the heavier hooks you're gonna need to decleat them, Yeah, I agree with that. Hook Life's talking about the softer plastics in the colder water. I know that's something I didn't think about, but yeah, I agree with that all the way, man. Sure do. Midwest is walking his husky in the rain. Hook Life says he fished in Florida for 20 years and don't miss those temperamental bass. Dude, I tell you what, I agree with you there, man. I've been doing as much fishing recently. We had the weather, and I've had some stuff going, and uh, but yeah, I'm gonna get back on it. I'm gonna get on this pre-spawn bite. I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be coming up here real soon down here, and that's the nice thing about being here, though. You can always get out and do a little bit. Oh, kayaks talking about mean mouse crossbreeding. No, man, I don't know about that. The only hybrids that I know of are the hybrid striped bass that they cross up. That's a cross between a white bass and a striper, and they use those for bigger open water lakes. That how do I put it? So you have different species of fish in a lake as compared to a pond. At least you should. A lot of people just throw everything at the lake into the pond, and that's a big mistake. But when you get shad or herring or whatever out in the middle that kind of stay out away from the structure and out away from everything, they can pile up out there and eat up your biomass. You can literally get a whole lake full of shad out in the middle that the bass, they'll come, they don't come to the edges anymore. They know, don't go to the edges. The bass are over there, and they stay out in the middle. So that's what those hybrids do, and the stripers do when they put them into reservoirs. Is they are out there pack feeding and fast swimming, and eating, pushing those schools of bait fish around. And one nice thing about hybrid stripers too is I've grown them in the ponds the size of Sugar Hill Outdoors, little 2-acre ponds. They'll take feed like the bluegill or like a catfish, and they'll get big. I've had hybrid stripers, 6-7 pounds, all around a feeder. The kids could just go there and get the Snoopy gears ripped out of the rod every time they put a hook in the water. Matt's coming in and says he stopped paying attention to the fishing reports. Yeah, I'm with you on that. He goes with the 5-inch Cinco for 30 minutes. If he doesn't catch anything, it's a wash. I like it. Hey man, this is a good second to that Cinco, man. I can promise you that. It's just a real solid bait. I'm gonna look for a wacky rig, like one of those big wider rubber bands for that. Try to wacky rig that up. Yeah, they're good, man. You won't be disappointed in those sticks. Let me scroll back, make sure I didn't miss anything. Shout out to Geecrack, man. Appreciate you boys. I catch fish. Those dudes send me lures. It's cool. It's a dream come true, man. Free tackle. Come on now. Free hats. Like that hat? I like that hat, man. Pretty sporty. I like the lizard. I got this sticker on my truck, Geecrack lizard. Those guys are awesome, man. Like this year, for anybody new, these guys, I caught a 9s and 8s, and I had a good run with the Bellows Gill a few years ago. Before they were real popular, they've gotten real popular now. What's his name? Alton Jones Jr. Man, he whacked him on the Bellows shad somewhere. I mean, he ran away from the field on the shad, and he's been winning a lot of money on their baits. So they're more popular now than they were back then. But yeah, I just started doing lure reviews on their stuff because I started catching nice fish on their stuff. It's not because they paid me. I went out there in 30 minutes. I had almost 8-pounder, and then went on a run for a couple of years there where, I'm catching, 7 to 9 pound bass, every other month or so on their baits, and that's how we got here, by picking up weight. Not by money or anything corporate nonsense or whatever, and they're a huge tackle company out of Japan too. This is not the only stuff they make. They make all kind of crap, but I think the Geecrack America guys are kind of a separate subsidiary of the Geecrack Japan guys. Like the Japan guys don't even write in English. Their stuff's all in Japanese. But no, those guys are sharp, man. So ICAST came around. I was down here in Florida, and I thought, oh, I'll just go over to ICAST and check out what's going on since I'm just right down the road. Well, come to find out, it's you got to have the pass and you got to have the special permits. You got to have all that shit, and not just anybody can't get in there. So I was like, crap, I guess I messed that up. Well, I made a post about it, just, kind of busted on myself. Yeah, this is crap, man. I screwed up. And Geecrack, hey, man, we got an extra badge. Just come down. And I got in. I got to go to ICAST, hang out with them, run some stuff up. And it was real cool. And it's just been a real good working relationship with those dudes. And, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you guys this stuff if I wasn't fishing with it. And they don't pay me outside of just sending me some tackle and hats and stuff. But I certainly appreciate that. That's really nice of them. They didn't have to do any of that stuff, And I've noticed, too, that, like, fishermen are kind of in a catch-22. And I didn't notice it until I started doing social media. A lot of people, rightly so, talk about the lures that they use and how they use them. All that is free advertising. And I've seen it in the dialogue that if they just catch enough, if they just do enough, then they'll be paid for advertising the lure. That's kind of it's a logical way to think, I guess, but it's not the way that it works, because they're already getting the advertising for free and they're a business. So if they don't have a contract with you, they don't have to pay you anything, So that's where the catch-22. I see the fishermen, and they want to talk about the lures and talk about the stuff and try to be compensated for that, but they're giving away the only thing they could be compensated for. Hook Life, Rapala or Rapala. How do y'all say that? Rapala or Rapala? I think it's Rapala, actually, but I've always said Rapala. It makes the crossover tool. Yeah, I think I've seen that before, man. It worked well with the bellow stick. All right. Yeah, I was thinking maybe I could use two of them, maybe a little bit bigger hook and like two of them to try to so all the weight of the worm is not on that one spot, because like I said, I had a problem casting it. It would break in half on the cast because that plastic is supple. Not as much of a problem on a screw log, just 6-aught or something like that, kind of rig, Texas rig style. Not nearly as much problems with them breaking that way. But you can't really sling those sticks around too much. They will break on you. Yeah, Rich, man, some owners are genuine. Oh, Gator says it's Rapala down south and Rapala up north. Okay, is that the difference? Okay, yeah. Now that you mentioned it, yeah, I think you're right, because the guys that I know that say Rapala are from up north. Rapala is how that's how you've always said it. Potato, that kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, I don't know it, boys. It's already been an hour. Is Debo going on tonight? I didn't see a thing for Debo. That's why I decided to try it tonight. Plus, I got that box in and I couldn't stand it. I wanted to open it all day, but I'm like, no, I got to save it for the live. Let's go back through it, man. Let's check it out. I've got so much of this stuff. I'll tell you what, man, I'll give you all away. I'll need to get a one of those things like Debo has that'll spin and give stuff away to people, because I've got a lot. I could definitely do a Bellows or a Geecrack care package deal. Where did the green one go? Oh yeah, we need to see the green ones, man. This thing is deadly. And every single bait, every single thing that I fished. Oh, it's juicy too. It's that green pumpkin chartreuse. Man, I have got so much confidence in that color. It is ridiculous. I catch a fish out of the tub with that. Love that one. Philip says he's advertising for him on the rig. That is the truth, man. Rapala should cut you in on the payroll because my man Cheek over there is busting him up on his shad wraps and on his hard baits. He stays consistent with those. Tim's in North Carolina. Has heard it both ways. Yeah, me too, man. I don't know. I don't know the right way. I should have asked him an ICAST, but that didn't occur to me. They had everybody in the world in that booth too, man. Those guys they pulled out all the stops down there, man. They who I did see in the Berkeley booth though? I saw Rudd, man, Alex Rudd. I was on his podcast a couple times, and Rudd's a good dude, man. He's a cool guy, and got to hang out with him, and I got to hang out with Andrew from Tackle Talk down there. Shout out to Andrew. Tackle Talk podcast. If you guys haven't listened to that, is awesome. I think I've made at least 4 appearances on there, maybe 5. I guess his crowd over there likes how I get down because he wouldn't be asking me back that many times if it wasn't getting good engagement for him, and I'm really proud of that because he's got all those guys. Tackle Talk's had them all. Had Martin and Roland Martin and Bill Dance and all the new pros too. And hell, I saw Billy Strings on there. Andrew's really, really coming up in the world with Tackle Talk podcast and doing well, picking up some sponsors. And he does a great job, and he's a good guy. Support Tackle Talk. If you need to listen to a good tackle podcast, that's the one. Tim's writing in. He wants to try the bellow sticks. He's got a few packs. Yeah, man, definitely try them out. I usually fish like a 3-rod setup, and I'll keep a hard bait and a plastic bait and like 3 opposite lures, for what I think might be going on that day is what I'm getting at, like a slow presentation bait, a fast presentation bait, and something different, just I don't know. Like usually I'll probably have like Mike's 7-inch glide bait, bullshad. I got Mike Buca's bullshad glide. I use that a lot. I'll usually have like that glide bait, and then like the bellows gill, another oversized bait, but it goes to the bottom instead of hunting it at the top. I'll fish it on the bottom, and then maybe like a drop shot or something on spinning tackle. Just something something unique for whatever time of the year. And usually I'll take that 3-rod setup to in every location. I'll fish each lure for a certain period of time, and I got that from school. We used to have to fish that way. When you fish on scientific studies, you fish for a time period and you record the numbers of fish that you caught over the same amount of time over a number of days. So you fish like 1 hour a day for 15 days or whatever the study called for. So that's kind of one thing that I took away from fisheries school is that you can treat your lures. Don't get married to one of them. Have 2 or 3 of them rigged up, switch rods real quick, and fish them all 15 minutes a piece, 20 minutes a piece, and you got 3. If you got 3, 20 minutes a piece, here's your hour, and then kind of make a decision after an hour or 2 rotating, like what's getting picked up the most. And that's a good way to kind of unbias yourself, because everybody does the same thing, man. You go to what you caught a fish on most of the time, right? And then sometimes you get married to it and you don't have a bad day where, if you rotate that out, think about it along the different lines. I think it helps. Tim says he makes Billy strings at at a bluegrass festival. Yeah. Before he got famous. Yeah. Oh, no kidding. You jammed with him. That's awesome, man. He seems like a good dude. Liked him. I liked his interview on Tackle Talk. It was good. Well, that's what's going on in the world of aquatic biology today, boys. It's been a good run. Oh, going back to talking about YouTube, man. We went over 4,000 followers on here. 14 people in here now. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I've had one of these posts just blow up. It's gone over 500,000. It's a short, a YouTube short, which is just a 1 minute or less video. But yeah, 500,000 folks and climbing, still climbing. It's been doing it about a week now, and I certainly will take all the viewer hours and finish up on this idea. I touched on it, but I don't mind if you guys use this stuff. Take it. Anything that I say, use it. People are already doing it anyways, but because you have to look at it like I started talking about this and I didn't touch on it. This year we're going into year 3 of the pond. There'll never be another year 3 of the pond. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we grow an 8-pound bass in 3 years. Maybe all the fish die and we got to start all over. I've seen both things occur. Maybe the dam breaks, washes the whole road, and the whole thing goes to crap. I don't know. I can't see the future. But the one thing I'm positive of, there'll never be another year 3 at Sugar Hill Outdoors Pond. And just like last year, everything that happened last year, that's all new content for me. And this year will be all new content for me. And we'll still frame it, in the lake management and being able to talk about this stuff and help people, manage their ponds throughout the country. But this, in any ponds I get, any additional ponds that I get, which I've got several coming on, that's all new data for me. And every single season is another new data set for me, new content for me. Okay. I have an unlimited amount of content. I don't even have to talk about lures, right? This is just something that fell into my lap for getting lucky and catching some decent fish for a few years on their baits. So when the pros, if they take it and they use it, or they make like they invented it, or I don't care. Maybe they did invent it. Maybe my idea was a rip off of theirs. It doesn't matter. Artists do all this kind of same thing too. Like steal like an artist. You ever heard that expression? There really are no original ideas. There's so many people in the world. Everything's been thought of twice. I promise you. Hell, just go look at the comment section and all the same. It's like I have to answer the same thing with the people who complain. It's so funny, man. They get triggered on the nitrates or the blah-de-blahs or blah-blah-blahs, and they just go on and on and on. But that's okay. They drive the algorithm. If it wasn't for all those complainers, we wouldn't have picked up all those followers this week. Yeah, Maynard's writing in about String, says he's a good dude. You jam with him, you would know it. All right, boys. It's been an hour and 10. I didn't see. Is Debo coming on tonight? I don't know. I don't want to run over his time. I know y'all follow him too. But I looked on his page earlier and I didn't see like a scheduled So I figured I'd slide in and do a little presentation talk thing about the Geecrack boys. Once again, shout out Geecrack. Appreciate you guys. Go buy their stuff. Those dudes are cool. And their stuff catches fish. You know, at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, right? Catching some fish. Anyway, let me scroll back one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything pending question wise. Glad to see you guys getting along in the chat. Not so much getting along in the chat on the posts. What are you going to do? All right, boys. I'm going to sign it off. I appreciate you guys following and all the engagement and everything going on, and I'll see you next week. Oh, one more coming in. Oh yeah, Southeast. Do we want to talk about the structure that we'll just talk about? Let's tie it in. That'll be good. If I don't remember it next time, just remind me. But we'll tie that into what we actually did in the field at Sugar Hill Outdoors Pond, and because again, I like using real field experience. These conversations that you have just based in theory and what people think and your opinions and stuff don't really work for me. You'll notice I always bend it back into something I've done, work related, experience related, and then that way anybody watching will have an idea of what they have to tackle if they're trying to add structure and do these different ideas. There's a big difference between what you can ponder up and what you can actually accomplish in the field. So that's a real good topic we'll touch on next week. All right, boys, I appreciate everything. I'll talk to y'all later.